My name is Vafli Kamara. Like I said this morning, I'm honored to have in studio the Chargé d'Affaires of the U.S. Embassy here in Monrovia, Liberia, Madam Catherine Rodriguez. She's already in studio. How are you, ma'am? Good morning.
Good morning, Barfley. It's great to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. It's good to speak to you at this time. Can we just listen to you because you have a special statement to deliver to the Liberian people, and then we ask you a few questions.
Perfect. Thank you. Good morning to everyone across Liberia. Last month, I spoke to you about Liberia's national elections and the importance of exercising your right to vote and to do so freely, fairly, and peacefully. Today, I want to congratulate the people of Liberia on the peaceful execution of elections on October 10th. Not only have I read reports from observers and local organizations that recognize the broad participation of Liberians and the generally peaceful atmosphere at polling stations across the country, but I saw this for myself when I went out to observe multiple polling stations in District 7. The impressively high turnout of voters shows your determination and dedication to the future of your beloved country. Next week, you'll have the opportunity to select your president and vice president for the next 6 years in the runoff election. More than ever, it's important to use your voice and your vote to make the right choice for you and your family's future. Continue to talk to your friends and family about the future of your beloved Liberia. Think about what you want for this country in the next 6 years and into the future. Listen to what the candidates are offering. Your right to vote is the most valuable tool a democracy offers for charting your family's destiny. Don't squander that very important right by not voting. Go vote, make your voice heard once again through the ballot box. In an effort to help Liberia keep elections free, fair, and peaceful, the U.S. and members of the international community will be observing these elections at polling and tabulation centers. The United States Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, announced before the last round of elections that we will impose visa sanctions on anyone who undermines Liberia's democratic process. For elections to be free and fair, they must be peaceful. That is why we always condemn violence and stop the spread of rumors and disinformation. The best way to do that is by not amplifying hateful messages, not retweeting, reposting, or publishing on social media or other platforms what perpetrators of violence say or do. Above all, reject calls for violence and remember the best way to resolve your differences is peacefully through the ballot box. To ensure another peaceful round of elections, we urge the Liberian government to make sure the Joint Security Task Force is provided its full budget. Let me repeat that. We urge the government of Liberia to make sure the Joint Security Task Force is provided its full budget. This is needed to secure the safety of voters, polling staff, and the general public. The United States continues to look to the National Elections Commission as the electoral authority and for the official results of the election. It is important that people get their information from official sources. As your oldest and one of your closest international partners, we wish Liberia and all its citizens free, fair, and peaceful elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a special statement there, read by the Chargé d'Affaires at the U.S. Embassy in Monrovia, Madam Catherine Rodriguez, but she's still here anyway. Madam Rodriguez, again, welcome. Good morning. On the overall, how will you grade the National Elections Commission's performance during the conduct of these elections?
We have provided extensive technical support to the National Elections Commission, including through assistance with civic and voter education efforts. This includes observation of ongoing refresher training for temporary staff at the National Elections Commission on recognizing what constitutes invalid and valid votes. We've had a 5-year program with USAID on the elections and democracy activity implemented by Democracy International that provides technical assistance, including communications, publishing voter education material, implementing radio call-in shows and door-to-door voter education. We've distributed 60,000 civic education textbooks. I mean, we have provided the NEC the tools needed to run these elections.
That means you're quite impressed by the next performance.
We are pleased with their performance, but they still have a way to go because we have the runoff where every vote counts, and they have implemented daily press briefings, which we're very pleased. They've already submitted voting material out to the farthest counties. So they're doing everything possible to ensure that these elections remain as peaceful and people, more importantly, have the ability to exercise their right to vote.
Great. The election is now narrowed to 2 choices, which makes it easier for the voters to decide. Do you think this will reduce the number of invalid votes in the runoff?
Having been to many of the polling stations, I think some of those invalid votes could be attributed to the conditions in some of those schools. It was very dark. There were a lot of people. There's unfortunately a high illiteracy rate in Liberia. That affected it. There were also 20 candidates. I am hopeful that there will be less, but the total number of invalid votes, while some may think was high, is within the expected margin. I believe the percentage was 5.89. That's still within accepted margins for for elections in Africa. But I will say that we are extremely hopeful that there will be as great of a turnout in this runoff as there was in the initial election. Liberians came out to vote with almost a 78% of registered voters. Believe it or not, that's higher than what we get in the United States. So Liberians should be proud, but I hope that they will go out and vote and make that percentage even higher.
Okay, great. You continue to repeat, announcement by the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, saying that you will impose visa restrictions on anyone who undermines Liberia's democracy. Who are those are you talking about?
The 3C visa restrictions will apply to individuals involved in the manipulation of vote results, intimidation of voters and or civil society organizations, including through violence and other activities that undermine the Liberian democratic process. These individuals may be found ineligible for U.S. visas along with their family members, which is subject to this policy. Our overall intent is we do not want to see the undermining of Liberia's democratic process. That is what we are focused on.
Okay. The visa restriction is one tool. Are you contemplating on another tool that is imposing sanctions?
Whether we use the visa restrictions or we use sanctions, everything is in our toolbox, and we will make those assessments as conditions come forward.
How involved has the U.S. been in ensuring that the electoral process is free, fair, and credible by helping the National Elections Commission? I know you've said that, but can you reiterate?
We have, as I said, our USAID colleagues have been working with the National Election Commission for years. As I was talking about, we've done voter education, communication plans. I mean, we've been there with them. We have funded a number of election observers. We have a local election observer, the ECC, that we have funded. Our funding has been supplemented by the Brits as well as the Irish. We have also funded ESA. We'll also have a number of observer teams from the U.S. Embassy themselves going out,
Okay.
as we did during the initial election. So we've been doing our part to ensure that these elections are free, fair, and peaceful. But more importantly, are one of the longest and oldest partners of Liberia. We have been working in civil society for years.
Mm.
So we have been there with you, and we want to see the democratic institutions of Liberia continue.
Okay. But the election is just days ahead. You have said something about funding for the Joint Security Task Force. How concerned are you?
I'm very concerned because for elections to be peaceful, you need police. And for the police to be there, they need to have the budget that they need. So this is one of the reasons why I came out, other than please exercise your vote. But it's also a call to the government of Liberia. Please fund the joint security forces. They need their funding so that they can ensure that when people go to the polling stations, that things are peaceful.
Okay. Let's inform our listeners that you're listening to a special interview with the Charge d'Affaires of the U.S. Embassy in Monrovia, Madam Catherine Rodriguez. She's here in studio as my guest. Uh, Madam Rodriguez, what is the expectation of the U.S. government about the outcome of the runoff election?
Our expectation is that the will of the Liberian people will be honored. My ask on behalf of the U.S. government is whoever does not win the election, the candidate and their supporters accept those results. If they have issues with the result, they take it to the courts, not to the streets. It is in the best interest of the Liberian people that this election season be peaceful.
The first round didn't see many complaints from political parties. Did you expect that trend to continue?
At this moment, the political parties, they have their laws. I'm sorry, Liberia has their laws that they need to ensure that are followed. Whether complaints occur or not occur, to us, that is part of the democratic process. And all we ask is if there are complaints, they take it up with the courts, as has been mandated by Liberian law.
Okay. Before we try to entertain maybe few calls related to the subject matter right now, what is that most singular message you want to leave with the Liberian people?
The Liberian people, all of you out there, you have the two most important things, more important than anything the U.S. government can do. You have your voice and you have your vote. Take the time, see what the candidates are offering, see how it will affect you and your family for the next 6 years, and exercise your right to vote. That is a hard right that has been earned. No one wants to see Liberia fall back to the dark days. You have fought for your democracy. It is contingent on you to continue that democracy. And how do you do that? You go to the ballot box and you vote. Don't take it to the streets. Take it to the ballot box and vote. That is our request. As your oldest partner, the U.S. government wants to ensure that you take your vote, exercise your right, you do the right thing for not only for you, but for the good of your country.
Powerful message there. Let's now take calls, but please, when you call, uh, subject your call, your concerns to what the Shashi Affair has said and the questions we've asked so far. So call us on 080514096, 080514096, better still, 07705818886, 07705818886. Let's hear from this first caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pastor.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning to your studio guest. Matthew George, I call you from Sino County. The United States government is on record for asking a certain president at that time, President Charles Taylor, to leave the country, to leave power. And
Eh,
in that vein, we saw our president leaving Liberia that brought in another government or another leadership. What is the government of the United States doing to individuals that cause heinous crime in this country and they are hiding
Okay.
behind elected position? In other words, they are asking the people to vote them so that they can keep being in power. And other leaders who, quote unquote, they have had criminal record in Liberia and the US for this.
Okay.
That
Thank you.
this individual was not thank you.
Th- Thank you very much. Basically, he's asking, what is the U.S. government doing? Uh, what is the U.S. government going to do to individuals who are hiding under elected or elective positions or positions in elections, but they've committed heinous crimes or they are committing crimes? Let's hear from this person. Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Randy.
Yeah. Good
This is
morning.
Mo Adam, and I call from 56.
Yeah.
Over the time, I think Madam, I say thank you so much. What happened in Liberia here is that people will call chaos in this country for us that don't have the means to travel now. And at the end of the day, they will run to the embassy, they will get visa and travel to America while we're here in the problem. So I think the decision is well, and just take it carefully and good. That Liberia, we will know that this country for us, we will support it for ourselves, and we'll face it for ourselves. Thank you so much for the message.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Commendation for the action, visa restriction sanction, because some people commit crimes and they run to the U.S. embassy for visa and then they flee. Yeah, but you can also call us on 0770581886. Uh, let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Hello?
Morning.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, please. Oh, but when you call, just leave the monitor. You don't have to listen to yourself. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm not yet, I didn't hearing what, what the discussion is still.
Oh, okay. Let's hear from this person. Good morning. Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling you, I'm looking for you, I'm calling you for Grand Bassa County.
Grand Bassa County. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, personally, your TV is off. The TV is on one or two. Yeah, okay, hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I want to ask the studio there. Thank you for coming in studio there. Secondly, I want to find out from you. This two politician group that we have personally that we supposed to be voting for within the second round. Uh, we most especially you always find out that Liberians always think America is the best way to Liberia. And then we expect America to always be in the position of giving assistance, make sure that the country has some improvement. So, in the case of America having problem with one of these candidates, why don't the American government or the American people inform us that they having problem with SRC president or person, for that matter, person, so that we can able to know the person that they got interested in, that we can able to go for that person, so that we can able to give good support to this country.
Okay, thank you. I think he's saying the U.S. government through the embassy or whatsoever can recommend who the person that they trust to lead or to be to serve in whatever position of leadership. But you follow the concerns.
Yes.
You know, some confusing, but
It's
try to
okay.
paraphrase them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all for the callers who called. I will try to do my best to cover all the topics that were presented. My role here is not to tell the Liberian people who to vote for. My role here is only to ask that you vote. The decision, the destiny of Liberia is in the hands of the Liberian people. As I said in my statement, take the time, find out which each of the candidates stands for, and see how those platforms align with your own and for the needs of your family, not only today, but in the future. And based on that, vote.
Yeah.
Go to the ballot box and vote. But the U.S. government is not going to tell you who to vote for. That is up to you. Considering some of the other questions that were brought up, about some of the people that have been sanctioned. Yes, we did sanction people, but Liberia is a sovereign country, and all that information is available online. It is up to the Liberian government if they want to pursue any legal action against those people that have been sanctioned. And that really lies with the Liberian people and the Liberian government. If they were elected into office, those were decisions made by people going to the ballot box. As for the Truth Commission that I think one of the first callers brought up, this is something of growing concern by the U.S. government, but it is up to the Liberian people or the Liberian government to decide if they are going to have a Truth Commission. That has been said that it is going to happen, and it has yet happened. We are hopeful that whoever wins this election, that we can finally, not only for the international community, but for the Liberian people, put this chapter in your history behind us, and that there be some justice for those that were affected. Because at the end of the day, there has to be political will for accountability. And accountability, whether it's for sanctioned politicians, whether it's for people that committed war crimes, there has to be the political will to ensure some level of accountability within Liberia.
Okay. Madam Rodriguez, just before you go, one other concern that somebody tried calling, they didn't get through, but the text is, are you concerned about a civil society actor who has been accused of being a partisan of a political party, through whatever means, with the video evidence and all that? Do you get concerned and alarmed by that?
I would say my first request would be ensure that whatever you're seeing is real. Do some fact checking, because there's a lot of disinformation out there. And there are a lot of civil society organizations that are doing as we would say in the States, God's work to ensuring that what is out there is real. They are debunking a lot of the fake news. So that would be my first request. Assuming it's real, then the question is what are the ramifications of whatever they're accused of, and is it being taken to court?
Okay.
But first thing, is it real? And real meaning that it's been checked by verifiable sources, that it is actually real.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, madam.
Thank you again. And just to close, everyone wants Liberia to be the beacon of West Africa. And you can do that by exercising your right to vote on November 14th. There is no reason that Liberia should not be that beacon. And it is imperative to get to that point that elections be free, fair, and peaceful. And more importantly, whoever loses the election, them and their supporters, if they have any concerns, they take it to the court and not to the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, she's Madam Catherine Rodriguez, the Charge d'Affaires at the U.S. Embassy here in Monrovia. My name is Vafle Kamara. She's been my last guest on the Super Morning Show.